All right, we are live, and on today's episode, I interview a coach opening people to celebrate life through connection, movement, and play. He's passionate about empowering entrepreneurs and men to success with a focus on time mastery, growth strategies, and crafting life's balances. Welcome to the Winner Circle, Christian Peña.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. It really is an honor. I appreciate you even just touching base with me.
Yeah, and before I hit record, I was just saying how the goal of these conversations is to really uplift, inspire, empower everyone tuning in. And that's kind of the tone, that's the frequency we're aiming for. And the first question sets us up as such. There's a lot going on in the external world, and that's not what I'm focused on here. I want to go examine our internal worlds. And so
Yeah.
right now, what do you love about your personal world, Christian? What do you love about your personal world right now?
My personal world right now, man. You know, I would say the biggest thing for me when it comes to a energetic feeling of being able to step more into a king masculine role by stepping into a relationship. Me and my partner have been together for this past little over a year now, since last November. And being in a relationship, I'm sure, as and I know a lot of people out there, I'm sure, know relationships can really take you into the depths of what it is that could be quote unquote wrong with you. The ego may come out. There's a lot of wounds that may start popping up, things start to surface. So I feel like the thing that I love the most about my life currently is being able to have the opportunities to really witness and to surrender to what is, as opposed to trying to force, right? Being impatient, getting irritated about the things that I can't control, right? And my queen, my beautiful, beautiful partner, Jay, she has shown me many, many opportunities for how to dive deep back into myself when it comes to the relationship aspect. And with that, that has shown in every other area of my life. It's made my connection better with my daughter. It's made my connection better with my family. It's made my connection better with work, how passionate I am about, whether it's our sex life, how we're working out, how we're eating. It has just amplified every single thing in my life by being able to have the opportunities with my partner in this relationship. So that's one of the main things I feel that I'm really, really grateful for, and things that I've been tapping into for this past year.
Mhm. Beautiful. How did you call in that relationship? What did the origin story of that look like? And how has it evolved in the last year?
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, to give a big backstory, right? To even just go deeper, I love doing these talks. We're going straight into it. To go straight into it, I had a really hard time growing up when it came to the connection piece that I had with women, right? Really being able to witness and to honor the feminine, right? It felt like as I grew up, I didn't have a really big role model to be able to show me like, hey, this is how you respect a woman in a relationship. This is how you can step into the masculine. This is how you can handle finances. This is how you can lead. This is how you can create safety, security. I didn't have that growing up as a child. So what came in my mind was to take advantage or to be sneaky, right? Like the Smeagol thing, like, oh, if I can get this woman, then that feeds my ego. If I can get this woman, then that feeds this, right? Just the hungry ghost that really never got satisfied. It really never did. So what I started to recognize in those moments, I had a lot of narcissistic tendencies back then. I was a cheater. I was a manipulator. I was controlling, all those things, right? And what it started to show me was like, wow, this is going to keep continuing if I don't actually dive into what it is that I'm looking for. What is it that I'm looking for, right? In the relationships aspect. And that being said, I've been in an 8-year monogamous relationship. I've been in a 2-year polyamorous relationship. I've seen different sides of what it can look like to really open your heart and to also have the constraint of like, I don't know what this means, right? I really don't know what this means to me. How do I find myself again in these moments in the relationship piece? And so how I called this in was ultimately really looking at myself in the mirror. It's a really cliche thing, like really basic thing. But honestly, that's probably one of the toughest things for people to do in this world, I feel. And I still have a tough time with it now. I'll do mirror meditations every day. I'll dance, just vibe out, try to stare at myself. But I've challenged myself a lot to really focus on what is my belief system around the type of partner that I'm wanting to call into my life. Am I wanting to have the partner to be able to look good on Instagram? Am I wanting to have the partner who looks the hottest? Am I wanting to have the partner who to make sure she can cook the right food, make sure she can work out like I do? That's not up to me. That's not up to me, right? what I truly believe in and what I started to call in was like, I'm ready for a woman, a strong ass, independent woman to come in that wants to do life with me, that actually wants to do things with me, right? Not what I can get out of a woman, but what I can do with a woman, how I can create, right? Create abundance in business, create abundance with creating a life, create abundance with building a sustainable farm, the whole thing, right? So once I got out of my own way and my own ego of these are the things that I need in a relationship, I started to surrender like, okay, I'm just going to be with what is. I can't control it, right? And it's one of the hardest things, this is one thing I will say, being in this wonderful, wonderful experience of a relationship with my partner now, she has shown me the opportunities of how to really witness a woman for all her emotions. Because let's face it, right? Everyone has some type of fire in them, right? And the fire can seem chaotic. It can seem like, oh my gosh, this is too much. Well, that's what I've asked for. That's what I've called in, right? And that's what I feel like what I try to teach people too in this world is like, hey, if you start saying words out there like, I want a strong, independent woman, I want a strong man, I want a strong, whatever it is, well, they're going to come to you, but can you handle all their bad, right? All their darkness, all their chaotic energy? Can you also adjust to that? Because that's also welcomed, right? So that's been the biggest thing for me and how I called in a partner is being able to recognize that it's not all sunshines and rainbows. It's not all just good, passionate love. It's not all just we go travel the world and have fun together. No, there's challenges, there's fights, there's arguments, there's constraint, there's ego, but welcoming all that, right? I look at women, what I've learned. I've looked at women and I look at my partner as she's the ocean, right? She's really the ocean, everything, right? And in order for me to adjust to what it is, I cannot create a box in an ocean. Imagine if you put up four walls, a dam inside the middle of the ocean, what's going to happen? It's just going to feel constrained, right? It's just going to, yep, it's going to explode. So what I do, what I like to pretend I'm like a wonderful, just curious. I'm in my curious state of being a sailor. I got my boat, I got my life jacket on just in case, and I'm just sailing the ocean, just watching the waves go by, just watching anything go by that she may bring to me because it's all growth and it's all opportunity. So that's been the biggest thing of how I really called in my partner is recognizing that I have to come back to myself and I cannot control what it is that I'm looking for. Can I just surrender? So that's been the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it brings me to a question. So
Mm.
um how how important is like the risk like that it's two-way street, like it's a win-win, that like you're able to handle her storms and the highs and lows, but partner has to also be able to help you through yours as well. And it seems like you have that alignment, but or is that not our concern? Our concern is simply just attend to you and like put up that rain suit.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it is like I would say for sure it's a team experience, right? I look at this relationship, especially my partner, and I didn't look at other relationships like this. Ultimately look at it as like there has to be reciprocity, right? The push and the pull. There has to be a feminine, there has to be a masculine. And we can always switch roles too, as well, right? We can switch roles with finances. I can be masculine in finances, she can be feminine in finances. We can switch. She can be masculine, I can be feminine, right? So when there's polarity in our experience, regardless of what it is that we're going through in life, that's where the reciprocity starts to feel at play, right? Because if we're both going at it in a masculine form, there's going to be friction, right? Because there has to be some kind of push and pull. And this is something I'm sure you know, and a lot of people that listen to this know, like there has to be balance or else it's just going to fold, right?
And a commonality of like we're in it for we and we, not me and we.
Yep. Yep.
Like a discrepancy. We're both the we.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, honestly. And this is what I've told her, and I feel like this is something that my coach has told me too as well, is are you with the person, right? Whether you're with the man, with the woman, you're in a poly, it doesn't matter. Are you with the people that you're with, that you're looking to build life with? Are you looking at them as someone that you can actually witness and hold in all of their, part of my language, all of their shit, right? All of their stuff that they may be going through. Can you hold them for who they are? Because I love my partner regardless of what happens. She could be broke, she could be a millionaire, she could fall down, hurt her ankle, and not be able to walk for the rest of her life. She like doesn't matter, right? I want to be here to hold her in every single experience. It does not matter what happens because I love her for her, not what she can give me, you know?
Mhm.
So I feel like that's the biggest difference in how I've gone about this relationship as opposed to the other relationships. It almost felt like the Smeagol energy in other relationships where I was like, hey, how can I manipulate to get this thing? As opposed to like, well, I want to do everything with you, not just one thing, you know? So that's been the biggest difference for me.
And the transition between that like Smeagol energy to the energy you're embodying now was you doing the work on yourself, looking inward and healing that, and like coming to peace with your ego is one thing
Mhm.
you mentioned. So let's start with the ego.
Yeah.
How does the transition look like?
Oh man. All right. I can always feel it in my chest as soon as I want to talk about it. You know, it's funny what I'll say before I answer this question. It's interesting, and it's something I would hope people can recognize too as well and have the awareness whenever it does happen to them. Once I start talking about the darkness or we talk about the ego, right? It feels like you have to almost, for me personally, like I have to hold its hand, right? Because the ego has to be played with. The more we just try to shove it down, avoid it, all that, it's gonna follow us no matter what, right? It's gonna stay with us. That's what causes the balance in our life. And so with that, what I've really transitioned to do is I had a really big journey, I would say, where I started to really break down these walls of who I am when it comes to every area of my life is when I went to go pretty much do my first ayahuasca experience. When I went to first go drink the medicine down in Costa Rica. And in that time too, as well, I had just got into a polyamorous relationship. So I got to feel what it felt like to feel love from different people, but to also expand on that, right? I thought it was just one exchange. I love one person, they love me, that's it. They can't love no one else, they can't look at no one else, they can't do anything with anyone else. It has to be just us. And so by going down to go do ayahuasca, grandmother showed me a whole bunch of like, hey, you can actually have an abundance of love from different people, right? There's different types of love. People can show you love through words of affirmation, show you love through quality time, show you love through affection, all of this stuff, right? So I started to see a lot of things when it came, I would say probably like the second day of drinking, because I didn't have a father growing up in my life. So the masculine role wasn't there growing up. So what I had and what I've been given the opportunity to deal with, so to speak, when it comes to dissolving the ego in my own psyche, is being able to understand that I have to be able to adjust to every life experience, right? I've said this before, but like life does not get easier. We just get stronger as humans, right? Doesn't matter. I look at it as like, doesn't matter how much money I make, doesn't matter if I can get the hottest, best partner, doesn't matter how many kids does not matter. There are going to be challenges every step of the way. And one way that I've really looked to really dissolve this part of myself, the ego part, is by being able to play with it, really enjoy its company. And I couldn't recommend it more. Honestly, what I've been doing is I've been naming the different parts of myself. It feels it feels crazy at times, feels like I'm talking to myself at times, you know. But I feel like I've been able to welcome it, right? Really hold its hand and see that it's welcome anytime that I'm asking for help, right? Because it comes out. It comes out in many different ways. But I feel like that's been the biggest difference on how I've been able to transition to who I was to who I am now, is by being able to just say, like, hey, I'm here with you. I call him Steve. I'll let you know. I call him Steve is my ego name. So I just say like, hey, if you want to come out and play today, I'm down. Show me whatever it is you want to show me. But I need you to go away right now because I don't want to lead with you. I want to lead with light. I want to lead with love. I want to lead with connection, harmony, play. Right. And that's why I hit on that so much in the types of coaching that I do. And whenever I connect with people, because it is, right? I feel like me as an individual, I've gotten really scared of those parts of myself and I try to just shove it under the rug. But then people can feel it. I'm sure you could feel it too. If I was being inauthentic right now and I wasn't having a real conversation, you could feel like I'm trying to hide something. There's walls up, right? And that does nothing besides create separation more and more and more. And there's already so much separation in this world. And that's what I came to realize is like, there's wars, there's unfortunately things, there's human trafficking, there's kids getting kidnapped, there's murders, there's deaths. Why do I want to create more separation in my life? Right. So that's been the biggest piece, is really looking at it, playing with the ego, enjoying its company, but also not letting it lead. So that's been the biggest part of me, is recognizing those things.
Mm. Beautiful. And who have been
Mhm.
some of your key mentors and teachers who have helped you on your path?
Yeah, great question. Greg, I actually just had this conversation yesterday with Jade, or might have been a couple of days ago. I'd say the first one that comes to mind, it has to be my brother Kyle, if I'm being honest. Kyle has been he's ex UFC fighter. He works fit for service, works with Aubrey, all of them, but he has been one of the mentors that I don't want to say I idolize him, but there's probably every single thing that he does in his life and he continues to do, I want to mimic it, right? He has shown up as a divine masculine figure by taking care of his family, taking care of his partner, taking care of his business, finances, his body, his health, his mind, all of it, right? And what he's shown me too as well is that I don't need to force anything, right? I do not need to force anything. And I feel like that's one of the key things that I really have taken away from and continue to take away from him is I felt so impulsive in the things that I was doing growing up, even like in my adult life, like going all the way up to like probably 26 years old until I met him. I feel like it's kind of, and this is just my opinion, I feel like the masculine is very like, how do I fix this thing? And if I can't fix this thing, I'm going to get irritated. I'm going to get impulsive. I'm going to start getting just angry at it, right? And then the aggression starts coming out, right? And that's what I was doing with a lot of things in my life. And what he's shown me how calm he can be, right? And it's that old saying, what's the old saying where I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. I think
Yeah.
that's how it goes. Yeah, that's exactly what he embodies, and that's exactly what I strive to do every single day. So that's definitely been one of my biggest mentors is Kyle on that side. And I'll definitely say I love to, for the feminine part, it has to be my daughter. I don't know for anyone out there who has kids and who, even if you don't, it is a life-changing experience. It's a life-changing experience. I feel like layers upon layers have gotten pulled back each time that I think about it, even before she came, right? But each time that I see this little girl, especially, I mean, it's a twin. Like she literally looks just like me. So what I see in her and what she's showing me is how to really be with the feminine, right? How can I treat my daughter? How can I witness her? How can I just hold her for anything that she's going through? And it carries on into everything that I do in this life, especially with my relationships, right? Like if my daughter is losing her mind on the ground, she's freaking out, oh, I broke my toy, whatever it is. I wouldn't tell her like, hey, you need to stop talking because you're making me uncomfortable. Hey, you need to stop because the way it's making me feel my body, like, don't do that anymore. Right. And so I carry that into my relationship. I see the little girl, my partner, right? If she's going through whatever it is she's going through, it's like, hey, like, how can I help? How can I support? Right. Not trying to fix her. Yes, I'm guilty of, I still try to do it sometimes. And she lets me know. But that has been a big thing for me is really recognizing, what my daughter has shown me and carrying that into other aspects of my life. She's the key catalyst in everything that I do in this life.
Mhm. That's beautiful. She
Mhm.
showed you that frequency, and then you could transfer that frequency to your partner, and then to your friend, and then to the gas station worker, and to everything.
Yes, exactly.
Star, the skies, the moon.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So a question I like to ask all guests towards the start of these conversations, and it
Mhm.
pertains to your mission. So your overall mission that guides you in everything that you do in your coaching, in your being a dad, and your being a partner, and you being a friend. What is your overarching mission that guides you in what you do right now, and how are you serving your medicine on this mission?
Mhm. I'd say my overall mission is to bring people together through play, through movement, through connection, and through laughter as my overall mission. And I feel like I have been given the gift. If you got to meet me in person, or if anyone who does listen to this does get to meet me in person, I'm probably one of the most joyous people to be around. I will even laugh at things that may not even be funny because I genuinely find this world and this reality just really entertaining to me. Like very entertaining. So I feel like I've been given the gift, right? From God, from the universe, from higher sources, whatever it is. I feel like I've been given the gift to really dissolve any type of control or friction that people may feel in their body to where they feel safe, regardless if I've just met them and if I do know them now, or if I've known them for a long time, right? And so my overall mission as we're doing this, and I'm glad I've found my partner in this too as well, is to be able to really create a space, right? Which is why we have the property here, why we're going to continue to try to do things at another place to be able to bring these people together, because it really is a beautiful thing once people start recognizing that they're not alone in this world. They're really not alone in this world. And I know I've definitely had personal experiences where I have felt alone, right? I've definitely had, before I even got into a lot of like the heavy, deep breath work and meditations and cold plunges, all that, when I was still kind of quote unquote asleep, I had really deep depressive thoughts, right? There were suicidal thoughts. There was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing here in this world. What do I do? I don't belong here. This isn't for me, right? I was very, very alone. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people go through that in this life, a lot. And unfortunately, those people take it all the way up until they die, right? And so my main goal in all of this, as I create these experiences and I connect with people, is that I want you to release anything that you may have stuck, because it does not belong to you, right? It doesn't belong to you. You don't have to think that way. You don't have to feel this way. And what I tell people a lot is that, would you rather get it all, try to get as much of it as you can out now, or would you rather wait until you're on your deathbed, or wait until like you're lying up in the hospital or laying down in the ditch, and then your kids or your family members or your friends see you, and then it's your last breath, like, I'm sorry for this. I don't know about you. I don't want to go out like that. I want to be able to just, I want everyone to dance at my, whenever I die, honestly. I want to be able to drink a good thing of ayahuasca, everyone dance, vibe out, and I'll slowly fade out. And that's what I tell people all the time, is like, hey, we don't have to hold on to this. And don't do it just for you, right? Don't do it just for you. This is something for the collective. This is something for your family members, for your generations to come, for your kids. This is something that you can stop all of that trauma, stop all the generational patterns that may have been created not by you, right? And it's so fascinating, because I don't know about you, Derek, but I have definitely felt it to where I'm like the black sheep of the family, right? Every single one of my family members, they're all overweight, diabetic, do not eat good. I don't even think they know what Whole Foods is. They don't work out, nothing, right? And I've completely shifted that. I completely shifted that. And of course, there's judgments on me, who I am, what am I doing in this life, because it's not normal. But I also feel the weight of it. It literally feels like everything's just coming down, and I can feel all of it in my body, right? But I don't have to hold on to all of it. I can also release it for everyone in my family and everyone in the collective, So that's my main goal with the things that I teach to others, things that I teach at the retreats that I host, and the things that I teach to myself and my family, honestly. And it's something that I'm looking to carry on as far as like my legacy goes for the people that I connect with.
You've really implemented your greatest tool, and that's choice, to change the trajectory um, of your past. And a lot of people are there now. They're stuck at that crossroads. They're stuck at that crossroads of should and must. Like the
Mm-hmm.
road of should is like what you're brought up in, your culture, your family, your parents, the education system,
Right.
and like that deep calling in your heart that is telling you to like go practice yoga, or to go start a farm, or to
Yeah.
coach, or to write that book. What advice would you have to someone at that crossroads who just feels stuck in the mud? And usually it's fear, shame that keeps them in that place. What
Yeah.
advice would you have for that person, and how did you navigate that crossroads yourself?
Yeah. That's a great question. Short answer. I always tell people this, because I get that question a lot. I always ask them, and I always stay silent with this. And I'm just like, well, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Right. And it puts it into place. And the reason that I asked that question is because we wait, right? I don't know if you've ever read the book. I think it's called The Waiting Place from Dr. Seuss. Or it's called All the Places You'll Go. And there's
Yeah.
a page in there, and it's called The Waiting Place. And it shows in there how people just, they wait at their jobs. They wait for the next big paycheck to come in. They wait for the right partner to come in. They wait for X, Y, and Z. But what happened? Like, what's going to happen if you just do things? Can you just take the next right step to do it, right? And it seems so basic, right? it seems so easy to say sometimes, right? Well, it's easier said than done. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is easier said than done because it is going to take a lot of fire. It's going to take a lot of warrior energy, patience, feminine energy with all of it to be able to get to that next level, whatever it is that you're looking for. So, my advice for those people and how I really integrated it into my advice is to reach out to community. I would say even just recently, I'd say probably these last 2, 3 months, there's been a lot of things that have been happening in my life when it's come to the farm, trying to be sustainable, trying to take care of the family, finances, business, all of it, right? And I felt I went into this nutshell, right? And this is me being really, really real. I went into this nutshell of wanting to avoid because of just like you said, the shame. I'm not doing good in life, so I want no one to see me. I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, so I'm just gonna hide, right? But those people, and you'll find out those people that you actually love and those people that you've been connecting with or lifelong friends or family members, they're there for you. They don't really care like what it is that's actually going on in your life besides the truth. So I could not recommend more. I could not recommend more for anyone that is going through that struggle of like a stagnant feeling, so to speak, to reach out to community, to ask for help, right? And especially for, this is just my opinion, especially for men, right? As the masculine, right? And I know this is how I grew up. This is how my dad raised me to grow up like, no, I can do it myself. No, I can do this. I don't need your help. No one's going to help me outside with work. No one's going to do this for me. I got it. Don't worry. And it just beat him down. And it still is beating him down, unfortunately. He has never asked for help, ever. Not once in my 31 years of living. Not once has he asked for help, right?
Mhm.
And that's probably the biggest thing I could say when it comes to that of people in this world of recognizing that it's okay. Everyone needs help, right? I'd rather do some dope ass things with a community of people rather than by myself, right? You don't build a multi-million-dollar business with just one person. Yeah, the idea sparks from that one person, but you need army, you need the cavalry, you need people to come in and have different ideas and energies and frequencies and radiating at such a high vibration. Like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. It helps out so much. I called 3 people as I was going through that stuff, and that's been the biggest thing for me is I've definitely touched base with a lot more of my community, right? Whether it's one of your brothers, one of your sisters, mom, dad, whoever it is that you're close to, just reach out to someone. Reach out to someone.
How did you flip that switch from the things you were exemplified like by your dad? I can do it all
Mhm.
by myself. When did you flip the switch? How did community become introduced into your life? How had it evolved, and what does your community look like to you now?
Oh man, dude, I love it. Well, can I give a backstory real quick on like my dad and like the girl? Okay.
Yeah,
So
cool.
I'd say the biggest thing. So my mom had me when she was like 16, 17 years old. She was a single mom. My real dad left. He was in and out of prison, but I've never met him in my life. I was 3 months old and then he just disappeared, just left, right? And so what's happened in those moments to where just like what you were asking of like how do I go from not needing help? I had a really hard time with that at first because it felt like I had to step into the role where I had to ultimately take care of. It felt like I was like my mom's best friend, right? And it felt like, well, I can handle everything that she's going through. Like I got this, mom. Don't worry, I got us. And a lot of my family members, whenever I was growing up, I was a really good basketball player. They would always put this pressure on me when I was like 6 to 10 years old. I can't wait till you get to the NBA. I can't wait till you do this, make a lot of money. You can buy us this car. You can buy us this house. You can get this for us. And I'm like, oh shit, like that's a lot of pressure. Like I remember thinking that as a child too, like wow, like they're really relying on me for this stuff, right? And so I took that upon myself, like no, like I can do this, like I can do this. I don't need anyone. I don't even need my family. I don't need friends. Like I got this, right? And it showed up in my adult life too, as well, unfortunately, to where if I was going through a struggle, right? If I didn't know how to lose weight, I was like, nah, I got this. I don't need no coach. If I didn't know how to do a certain type of breath work or meditate correctly or whatever it is, it's like, nah, I'll figure it out by myself. I'm good. But the moment I was just like, well, maybe I do need a different outlook on this. Like, how can I actually like what is my belief around what another person's suggestion, right? Or energy towards me may be, right? It could help out drastically. And it felt like I lived in a bubble, right? My own Christian bubble, right? No one's allowed in. You can kind of make it malleable, let people come in, but nope, like I'm good. I can handle this. So I feel like how I've really flipped the switch to where I've asked for help is by diving more into the feminine side of things for me, right? And not to say that I'm not saying at all that feminine or women need help more than men. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying that is that I've approached life more softly, more nurturing, right? Really taking care of myself and really wanting to be in a place where it's like, hey, like, I don't want to be aggressive towards anything that I'm doing. I don't want to be forceful in anything that I'm doing. I would like some guidance and some help on what it is that I may be going through in life, right? And I've learned this by, dating women, being with my partner now. Jade really, really loves to have quality time and understanding from me, right? That really gives her safety and connection with me. And she's asked for help in that, right? And so that's something that I've really recognized in myself of like, wow, like she's asking me for help, right? My daughter asked me for help. If someone asks me for help, like, of course, I'm down to help. Like, I'm always open for it. And so I really flipped the switch by being able to tap more into my feminine sides of things, of becoming more soft with myself, right? Not having I got to put on the warrior wolf mask and go to war and everything's all battle, fight, 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 and just project, project, project. No, like, hey, I'm struggling right now, and that's okay. I would love some guidance and some help for anyone that can help me right now. And I take it even like a layer deeper too. What I've really been tapping into is I want to make sure I want to say this correctly so people don't get the wrong idea of what I believe in. There's different energy sources that I talk to. There's different gods. There's different, deities, entity, whatever you want to call it, right? Isis, all that stuff, right? There's different energies that I talk to that ask for help in, and those sources will help you too if you really listen. I know people, and I know I go through it. Those whispers that you get, I'm sure throughout the day of like, hey, you should probably go take care of that car payment. Hey, you should probably have that talk with your mom that you didn't have about a month ago. Like those are whispers of your higher source trying to talk to you like, hey, this is what you have to do to move forward. Right. And so I've welcomed that by diving more into my feminine of like, hey, I want to welcome this into my life to get me into the next level and flip the switch.
Can you kind of exemplify like some of the softening like you have by reaching out, asking people for help? That's one way. What are some
Mhm.
practices? Other practices, mirror work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's literally the first thing I was going to say. As far as like the feminine practices that I've really integrated in my life, what's really helped me the most is dancing. And I'll tell you a quick story. I was the basic, just kind of, I stay right here when I'm dancing, just kind of snap my fingers, just stay in one little box, one little bubble. I ended up having a medicine night one night, and I went to a men's retreat. And in that men's retreat, there was actually a guy there, one of my friends, really good friends. He used to be a Chippendale in Vegas. And so he ran a workshop for us, and he was showing us how to get into our bodies. And while I was on medicine, I ended up feeling just like, wow, like my body can actually twist and like move. I can squat down while I'm dancing. That's okay. Oh, wait, I can also turn around, look other ways. I can like wave my arms in the air. I can be feminine, flowy, right? Like that unlocked a lot in me by being able to dance, right? And I took it even one step further in that after I left that men's retreat, I I think it was about 30 days. Yeah, I did a 30-day challenge for myself where I danced in the mirror naked for at least 10 minutes while I was looking at myself, right? Looking in the eyes, like really close at the mirror, dancing and vibing. And as you know, and for anyone out there who hasn't done any type of mirror meditation, it's pretty damn hard to just look at yourself for 30 seconds, right? And so by being able to dance in flow, being in a vulnerable place, by not having any clothes on, it put me in a place like, wow, like I love my body, like I love myself, like I just love this. And it's not in a arrogant or like a vain type of way. It's really enjoying every aspect of myself. Right. And so that's been one key thing that I've done to be able to tap more into the softness of nurturing myself. And then I'd say one other thing is singing. I definitely have put myself in a place to where I probably sing throughout, I'd say throughout the entire day. I'll put on some music, and even if I hum, even if it's just humming, and I'll close my eyes and I try to move just very soft and slow, but dancing and singing has been one of the key components into how I've been able to tap more into my feminine. Because I'm sure, as you know, Derek, like it's not, I don't know about you, but if my dad ever went, like, I know my dad ain't dancing for damn sure if he goes out. You know, a lot of my friends from back home that I knew, they stay just right here, right? They're too, it's whatever type of friction or whatever type of belief that they have within themselves, it's just hasn't been unlocked yet,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I've tapped into.
How do you feel like when you dance? How do you feel like when you sing?
Damn, man. Honestly, I feel like I'm on top of the world. You know, I really do. And I'd for sure say dancing. Like we love doing events. I'm honestly after this podcast, like I'm gonna go ask Jade if she wants to go find an event in Austin and we go dance because it feels like it's more than just dancing. It's more than just trying to like look sexy. It's more than just like just vibing out, listening. The vibrations that I feel in the music, in the vibrations that I feel within my body, it's medicine for me because I can feel what it is that's happening in every single cell and every single bone, muscle fiber, all the tissues, everything, right? I can feel where my body's hurting, where it wants to talk to me, and I can feel how alive it can actually be for me to just release, right? And with no expectations, right? And I'm sure you've done ecstatic dances before. It's one of the best medicines that I've ever been able to come across. And I could not recommend it more for people.
Yeah, I agree. Tell us about your experience with ecstatic dance and facilitating it at your property.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I actually, it's funny. The very first time, the very first time that I went to an ecstatic dance, it was from Parangi was playing. I don't know if you know Parangi. I'm sure
Yeah.
you do, but Natasha actually took me to go there, and it was my first time ever going to something like that. I was so used to going to like the clubs and like where like the guys just post up with a beer or like a shot and
Yeah.
just kind of hang out at the bar, just like yeah, just shrug the shoulders. And we walked into On It, and the first thing that I saw was people like in masks. People were like laying on the ground and like sliding like snakes. And I walked in like, whoa, like this is not wow, like why are they, it looked weird to me, right? I was so judgmental, like what are those people are weird, like what's going on? And I ended up just standing there, Derek. I ended up just standing there the whole time. I literally went off to the side and I just watched Parangi play. I wasn't even watching people dance because that's how uncomfortable I felt in my body,
Yeah.
right? And how I've transitioned that now, the very first time that I actually, for sure, the story that I told with me unlocking at the men's retreat, that definitely unlocked me. And then going into one of the Fit for Service events too, as well, that Aubrey hosts and that he has year round. I got to see what it looks like for people to just be in their bodies without any judgment and to feel safe for whatever it is they want to express. And how I've led these and how I've really integrated these into my retreats is I love being able, I couldn't recommend this more for anyone listening, is that if you can start, if you go to any type of event and do it, even if you just go by yourself with friends, doesn't matter where you are, start with your eyes closed. I always start this at my retreats. I pretty much put everyone like pick your spots. If you want to sit down, stand up, if you want to squat, doesn't matter to me. Just pick a spot. Start with your eyes closed. I want you to just feel. I don't want you to think. I don't want you to think what your arms are supposed to do to this beat or this sound. I want you to just feel what it can feel like, right? And it can start maybe you just want to move your hands. Maybe you just want to wiggle your fingers. Maybe you kind of just want to sit down in a squat. Like, what does it feel like in your body? Right. And I tell people this at the retreats because we get so lost in our head, right? The moment that we come up here in the thinking brain, it's just not, we we start to overanalyze it, right? But the moment we come down to the heart, to the root, sacral, all of it, we begin to feel what it feels like, right? That's where we harness the most energy is from our root. And so I lead people through a lot of those things, and I usually walk them through some type of breath work as they go through the ecstatic dance to be able to, because people will get, some people I've seen walk out, some people I see crying, laughing, singing, all of it, right? And so I just tell them like, hey, you are safe, and it's really creating the container of like everything is welcomed, everything is welcomed. So that's how I lead those whenever I do my retreats that I've hosted here at the property.
Uh-huh. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
A big thing with you is being of service. What have you learned about being of service, and what are your favorite ways to be of service in the now? How are you serving?
Can I first say you asked some wonderful questions, man? These are wonderful. These are absolutely wonderful. Um, to be of service. I feel that I've just now tapped in maybe these past couple years of what it feels like to be of service. And it's unfortunate, and it's very unconscious. And it was unconscious for me of not recognizing what that actually meant, right? Because I was such in a place of just like take, right? How can I get something out of this experience? How can I get something out of this person? How could I get something out of this place we go? It doesn't matter, right? I was just trying to take. The moment I could start switching to be of service, honestly, it started switching I'm always going to go back to it whenever my daughter was born, right? It's no longer about, yes, I want to take care of myself and I will continue to take care of myself, but how can I be of service to a beautiful little being that chose me and the mother to come down here and lead her in whatever it is that she may experience in this life? How can I be of service in that, right? And it puts a really, really high vibration in my heart whenever I can actually give to others. When I cannot stress it enough. When I do these retreats, when I have coaching calls, when anyone just walks up to me, just a stranger, even if they're just like, hey man, like just thanks for working out the way that you do, or thanks for saying that to me earlier. When I can just be of service, whether it's with words, with actions, with giving them food, whatever it is, it puts me in a place of knowing like, oh, this is what my purpose is. And this, I feel like this is what like everyone's purpose is, right? Is to be of service, is to give, right? There's multiple opportunities for me to be able to learn about people and what they need in this life, right? Really learn and be curious about how I can be of service, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in how I'm eating food, whether it's in how people can get back into their bodies with movement, with dancing, with singing. I feel like that's been the biggest thing, to have these opportunities to really witness people for who they are, right? I never, I, this is one thing I've stressed the most and what I've been taught from my coach. I'm not in a place to say I'm in mastery ever of trying to tell people what they should do. I will open an invitation like, hey, what do you think about this? Or hey, what do you think about this? Because I want to be of service to them by getting back to themselves, right? And that's the switch. Can you just witness people for who they are, right? Can you really just witness someone for who they are, regardless of what it is that they're doing, where they're going in life? Doesn't matter, right? Can you really just witness? Can I just witness Derek for who he is, right? Without judgment, without expectations, right? So that's been the biggest way I've been able to learn to be of service, is through my daughter and by meeting more and more people each day.
Mhm. One thing I'm excited to talk to you about is one of your passions, and you have a passion for the farm, for
Uh,
farming. Tell me when did that come to life? And yeah, that's learning about more myself.
yeah, man. Honestly, I definitely cannot take, I can't take all the credit for this one at all, because my partner, she moved from San Diego, and I met her here in Austin, and she had the mission. And it's crazy. I'll tell you just a little backstory with it. I remember it was a week less, it was probably a week before me and her met. I remember saying it out loud to the universe. I was standing on the back porch of my apartment complex, and I was looking out and I was like, damn, I would really love to have like 30 acres of property. Like, I'm ready to have it. Like, I want to see cows. I want to see the water. I want to see beautiful trees. I want to see the chickens. Like, I want to see all of it. A week later, I met my partner. And I think 2 days into us talking and connecting, I said it. I was like, yeah, like I really want to move to like some property, like 30 acres. She literally wrote down in her journal, I want to have 30 acres of property. This was before we met. And it was like months or like weeks ago before she met me. And so that sparked it. We were both on that same frequency of wanting to do that. And it's definitely, I'd say, the reason that I'm so passionate about it, and I know why my partner is passionate about it, is because we want to be able to live sustainably, right? There's so much stuff going on in this world that there's no telling what could happen, right? Yes, we can listen to all these external factors going on, like the shutdowns, COVID, war, like a bunch of different things, right? That can really just be like, whoa, this seems like a lot. Like, are you sure this is going to happen? But I'd rather be ready than not ready, right? So it's so it's so ingrained in my body to be able to provide this type of service, to harness everything on this land, that my children, right, that our children, that mine and Jade's kids get to have moving forward. She's got a 20-year-old son. I got Wolfie. Like, we want to be able to leave a legacy for them, right? We want to be able to create a freaking Gardens of Eden for them, have the animals, have the horses, have the livestock, have the plants, the trees, the water, have the houses, safety, security, right? That's the main catalyst for why I'm doing this and why I want to be able to live sustainably and have a farm like this, is to be able to give back. It's, yes, it's beautiful. I love to have it now. But ultimately, when I look at it, it's my ultimate vision and goal and purpose to be able to provide this for the generations to come, right? To really create the generational wealth, the foundation for my ancestors, or for my children to be able to believe that they're safe after we have passed on, right? So that has been the driving force for everything that I'm doing out here. And it's also really freaking hard.
Like community is so important as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that. So for someone wanting to call in more community, what do you have to say about that? For someone feeling that call for the community, how does one call in community?
Yeah,
Whether like
yeah.
individuals.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. First and foremost with this, I was really alone, honestly, whenever I first moved to Austin. I just got out of a relationship. I was living by myself in an apartment. Like, I was very alone. Like, I had friends that I'd like hang out with here and there, but I was a loner. I would wake up, go to the gym, work, go work out again afterwards, go to sleep. And it was on repeat, right? What I did and what I would recommend for people that are wanting to call in community is to actually say it out loud and to actually write down the things that you're looking, right? And Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot, right? Sitting down, taking the time before you start your day, before you dive into the computer, before you flip that phone open, before you do any type of analytical technology type of work, sit with yourself, visualize, right? It's a really basic thing, but we unfortunately forget. Visualize what you want your day to look like, right? Yes, it's important to visualize what you want a year from now, a couple years from now, the end goal, right? It's amazing. Awesome. I'm all down for that. Yes. But can you visualize what today can look like for you, right? So if you're looking to call in community, visualize yourself finally paying for that event that you want to go to that you've been putting off. Visualize yourself reaching out to your 4 friends that you want to connect with and go to dinner, right? Sending the text out, I'm going to do this. And in going through the experience, like you're actually in that experience itself, right? We can say these things all the time, right? And I'm still guilty of this now. I say I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then I don't do it that day. And then shame starts to kick in, and then ego starts to kick in, right? And then I don't end up doing it. So it's the same thing as you're calling in community, right? Really putting it out there to be able to believe that you will find the people that you really love, and the people that want to find you, they will find you, right? So I feel like that's been the biggest key thing.
Yeah, I agree. And not only visualize, but also feel into that place now because it's here. And by feeling into that place, it'll ripple onwards into our reality. That's what I've
Yeah. Yeah, what you're absolutely right. 1000%. Absolutely.
so I have a final few questions that I ask every guest, but before that, I have one last question. One question before those three that I'm just really curious. We've talked about many highs on this journey. I would like
Mhm.
to examine a low. What has been a
Yeah.
real challenge of yours that you've encountered on your path, and how did you learn that and move forward?
Yes, yes. I love it. Hell yeah, man. This is gonna be good. I love it. Okay. I love the roller coaster on the podcast. This is great. I would say something that I still consistently think about now, because I think about my daughter every single day. Probably one of the deepest, darkest times that I felt was I didn't I grew up without a dad, like I mentioned. So because I don't have my daughter the way I expected to have my daughter, I ended up getting out of the polyamorous relationship the day of that my daughter was born. The day of, right? My daughter was born at 4:36 in the morning. About 4 hours later, me and my partner then were no longer together, right? And so what that did for me, what that continues to do for me is it put me in a place to where I felt so lost for who I was as a human, right? How can I how can I show up in this world if I can't even show up for my daughter, right? And it hit really, really deep inside my heart because of all the trauma that I had from not having a dad, right? I ended up thinking the thoughts, man, I'm going to be just like my dad. Man, my daughter's going to feel like I'm not there for her. Man, my daughter's going to feel this for me. She's going to feel this, and I'm not there. Like, I can't do it. It started to eat me alive, basically. I started to lose weight like crazy. My hair started falling out. I wasn't working out good. I wasn't eating well, right? I went into a really, really deep, dark state that put me in a place of like, man, like, I don't know how I'm gonna crawl out of this freaking hole, dude. Like, I don't know how to get out of this, right? Because it rubbed and it pulled on the heartstring of not being the father figure that I was expecting to be. Because even as a child, you know, if you were to ask my parents and my mom now, even when I was a kid, I would always say, like, man, I can't wait to just be a dad. Can't wait to have like a little girl. I knew I was gonna have a little girl, right? And so because it didn't happen the way I expected it, felt like everything shattered. I was lost. I didn't know who I was anymore at all. I for sure disconnected that whole first year of my daughter being born from everyone in the world. I didn't want to talk to anyone. And that really, really pulled on or pushed me to my limits to where I felt like I was going to explode more than half the time. The irritation levels were high. I was breaking out. All of it started to get hurt whenever I'd go work out, play basketball, swim, anything like that. You know, so it started to really, really dissolve me as a human, you know, and it's unfortunate it happens to people. You know, you can see it slowly start to happen. All the stress, right? You know this. Stress is the worst thing that could happen inside your body. You can
Yeah.
literally start to kill yourself from the inside out. Yeah.
So this was your biggest challenge.
Hmm.
How did you navigate out of that dark place?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question, man. Yeah. So I feel like the biggest thing that I did in there, I had a lot of pent up rage, a lot of pent up rage in that. And it wasn't rage. I wouldn't say it wasn't rage that was all mine. It felt like it was rage that was also from generations before me, right? My grandpa, my dad who wasn't there, my stepdad, everyone, right? All the masculine figures that raised me in my life. And one way that I really started to pull myself out of that was having practices of me doing that. I started picking up on certain things like I ended up doing jujitsu for a long time. I know you know how wonderful and how you can let out a bunch of shit whenever you go do jujitsu, right? I started to pick up more jujitsu. I started to do triathlons a lot more. I started to do running, swimming, biking, some type of form to just let out any type of aggression. And ultimately, what I did that really saved my life was I finally acknowledged this was the biggest turning piece for me. And I could not recommend this more for someone who may feel like they're lost or like they're in the deepest, darkest place is to acknowledge what's happening in your body for yourself and for those around you that you feel you may have hurt, right? Because I was in a place of blaming, right? I blame I blame the mother. I blame the other father. I blame the family for putting me in that place of the deep, dark thing. But how can I switch this? So I told myself, I have to acknowledge that I'm also a part of this. I also made the choice to come into this relationship. They didn't tell me to come into this relationship. I made the choice consciously to come into this, right? And it goes both ways, right? One of the best way I can describe this, one of my coaches told me that really helped pull me out of this was like, hey, he talked about with me like what's one thing that happened to you whenever you were a child, right? And I got molested as a child too as well, but it was years ago. It's like when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. And he said, well, how's it affecting you now? I'm like, well, I still get pretty bothered by it. He's like, well, you're making the choice to let it bother you, right? You're making the choice to let that bother you, right? It's happened, but you're consciously making the choice for letting all these years go by to let it affect you, right? And so if I continue to do that, it was just going to continue to eat me alive, right? So I really, and it takes a lot of courage to really acknowledge where you messed up, where you could have been better, where you were wrong, right? And where you made your mistakes. It takes a lot of courage and you have to put the pride aside. You have to, right? So that's really how I flipped the switch of being able to pull myself out of it and to really hold true to my commitments and speaking my truth in that relationship and speaking my truth for what it is that I was actually going through because I wanted to hide it. So that's been the biggest difference.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate your honesty and just letting us
Yeah,
in the world. The final question, the final question of a few, you
yeah.
may have answered it, and that is through all the highs and lows, that is your hero's journey that you shared with us. What has
Mhm.
been the greatest life lesson you've learned on your path that you feel called in this moment to share with us?
My greatest life lesson, I would say, is that it can be done. It can absolutely be done. Anything that you're hoping, that you're wishing for, that you have faith in, that you feel you may not be able to reach, it can be done, right? And even on the flip side of it too, if you're calling in any type of, and I know there's some people who do it unconsciously, some dark things into their life, that can be done too as well. But to finish on the high note, anything that you're hoping for in this life, it can be done, right? You look at it whenever you look in the past, right? We didn't think phones could ever exist. We didn't think there'd be electric cars. We didn't think there would be AI robots. Like, it can be done. It can
Yeah.
absolutely be done.
We are master creators if we choose. It can be done.
Yeah.
In 3 words, how would you describe the experience you're having on this earth? And you could elaborate on words if you wish or not.
I got to go with it. I got it tattooed on my body. I love myself.
I love myself.
I love
Beautiful.
myself. Hmm.
And or maybe it might, that's all that all has needs to be said. I love myself.
Yep. Absolutely.
Final question. We've played around with time, we've examined the past, the present, we've kind of glimmered a bit into the future as well. But
Mhm.
let's take a step into the future. Let's take
Yeah.
a bit of ways, and we're going to be alongside an 85-year-old Christian Peña. Who is that man? Who are you surrounded by? What is the legacy that you've left here in your 85 years? And what is the predominant feelings in your body, in your being?
Oh, I love it. Yes. I always answer this question with me and my partner. 85-year-old Christian is, I'm just going to paint the picture for you and for anyone that does listen to this. I am sitting on my porch, my big balcony porch with my beautiful queen, with my children who have their children and they have their grandchildren. And I'm out just looking into the mountains with property, with animals, with horses, with the gardens, with community, with people just doing yoga, with people dancing over here, with people singing by the fire. And I'm just sitting back, silent, silent, like my work is finally done, right? And telling myself that, and I've done my best to say this a lot, but today is a good day to die. Today's a good day to die, right? And not being fearful of that. And that's the 85-year-old Christian. It's like I'm ready for it if today's the day. I've done all the work I can do here.
Uh,
Mhm.
if you close your eyes and just take a deep breath, how would you describe the feelings in your being as this 85-year-old man? Um, Today is a good day to die.
Free,
I want you to lead into
free.
that
I'm finally free.
I want you to lead into that place, in that place of freedom, being fine with it all. And I'm going to bring us back to the now. And that 85-year-old Christian, he sends current day Christian a message. What does he whisper into your ear?
Oh, you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it by yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, brother. You don't have to do it by yourself, and you're not. And for anyone wanting to connect with you, they can find you on Instagram, Christian
Mhm.
444, and
Mhm.
there's links to amazing things, including ebook, Joyful Journey Mastermind, which I just delved into prior to this call. And I'm going to do that for 12 weeks,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited to explore that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. That was beautiful the way that you just asked those last words. You're a true wizard, Derek. I want you to know that, man. you're doing God's work right now by bringing people together on this and just spreading your medicine. So thank you, honestly.
Hey, thank you. You're the dance partner to this dance. I couldn't have done it without you. We're together, we're dancing, we're smiling, we're laughing, we're feeling good. So we bring our fist in. It's a choice to step into the winner circle. Boom,
Yeah.
brother.
Thank you so much, Derek.